But the city was still breathing through puddles and reflections. Neon lights flickered on the wet asphalt like a restless heartbeat. Emily and I had married only months before. We were still getting used to the word, us. She loved wandering through stores without a plan, picking out little things that sparked memories. I was the opposite. My life was usually home, work, home again. But that day, I gave in. I told myself, why not? These little moments are what keep a marriage alive. I didn't know one of those little moments would tear open a hole big enough for the night to pour in. We laughed at silly things. Emily squeezed my hand every time something in a window caught her eye. Just 5 minutes inside, she'd say. And I'd roll my eyes dramatically just to make her laugh. You look good in everything, I told her once. I know, she smiled. But I want to see how I look in a little bit more. That was Emily. Thirsty for life. Never afraid of missing out. Sometimes I wondered if I was brave enough to match her. At the very end of the street stood a store that didn't belong. Its sign was faded. The glass a little foggy. The window display empty except for one mannequin staring past me. Just a quick look, she said. I'll wait outside, I answered, lighting a cigarette and leaning against the wall. I watched her disappear through the door. It felt like the simplest gesture of trust. You never think a door can swallow the person you love. 5 minutes stretched. Then snapped. 10. 15. The city slowed down in echoes of dripping water. 30 minutes. My phone buzzed. But no message. I began counting in my head, trying to quiet the nervous pull in my stomach. By 45. I couldn't wait. I crushed the cigarette on the sidewalk and opened the door. The bell above rang tired. The store was smaller than it looked outside. Narrow aisles. Shelves too low. Air that smelled like damp cardboard and metal. Behind the counter stood an older woman with a stiff smile that never touched her eyes. Good afternoon, I said. Where's my wife? Quote. Her gaze moved over me like she was checking inventory. No one came in, she said. Voice flat. Final. I felt my chest tighten. I saw her walk in here, I insisted. You're the only one, she replied coldly. Panic whispered. Maybe I missaw. Maybe I'm losing it. But I knew. I had seen her. I stormed back outside, pulled out my phone, and called Daniel, my best friend, my best man, and a police detective. When he answered, I could barely speak. Emily. The rest tumbled out in broken pieces. He listened in silence. Then his voice dropped low. Firm. Stay there. Don't argue. That store's been on our radar. Strange disappearances. No evidence. Keep your eyes on the door. I'm coming. Minutes later. Black vans cut into the street like blades. SWAT poured out. Silent. Efficient. Daniel stepped out last our eyes met. Between us hung a single question. Was it already too late? Here, he asked. Here, I said. They entered. The bell rang again. Now like an alarm. Inside. Sharp commands. Clear. Check the wall. Move that shelf. Each word landed heavy. Because we all knew what we were hoping and fearing to find. One officer tapped on a wall. The sound came back hollow. A glance. A nod. They pulled the shelf aside. Dust falling like old secrets. Behind it. A door. Small. Locked. Open it, Daniel ordered. A hit. Another. The metal gave way. The smell hit us first. Dampness. Bleach. And something rotten. We descended narrow stairs. Every footstep echoed like someone else was following. At the bottom. A long, low room. Pipes above. Flickering cold lights. On metal tables lay surgical instruments, lined up too neatly. Beds with straps. Medicine scattered. A monitor hummed in the corner with a heartbeat that wasn't human. Just the cruel line of a machine. Then we saw them. 2 men in lab coats. A nurse in scrubs. Caught red-handed. Hands up. Someone shouted. A scalpel clattered to the floor. Another tried to run. He didn't get far. Daniel didn't even blink. His eyes sharp. Deadly calm. Behind the curtain, an officer said. My heart lurched. I pushed past them. And there she was. Emily. Her head had been shaved. Her body strapped to a bed. Skin pale. Lips trembling. Prepared for organ removal. I froze. The world shrank to the size of her wrist bound to that strap. Then I lunged forward, tearing at the buckles, calling her name. Emily. My voice cracked. Her eyelids fluttered. Heavy, as if she was climbing out of a deep well. I'm here, I whispered. I'm here. Everything after blurred. Shouts. Radios. Stretchers. Daniel's hand on my shoulder. His voice barely above a whisper. 5 minutes. If we'd been 5 minutes later. Quote. I couldn't answer. Emily was rushed to the hospital. Weeks passed in endless corridors and sleepless nights. She woke, sometimes with a vacant stare, sometimes screaming from nightmares. I held her hand through every moment. I told her stories about small things. The smell of morning coffee. The way birds landed on our balcony. The towels we always left crooked. Anything to remind her of the world waiting outside her fear. Slowly, she came back to me. Years later, she gave birth to 2 healthy boys. The sound of their first cries pushed the stench of that basement out of my lungs. We built a life, full of love. But still, sometimes, when the rain stops and the streets shine with reflections, I see her walking into that store, and me, learning to believe she'll come back. I will never forget that night. The night Emily disappeared, and I almost lost her forever. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Your support means the world. All stories here are inspired by true events.